What's going on, everybody? UCF Jaguar back with GenJag.com, and last Sunday on Christmas Eve, the Jaguars traveled out to San Francisco and lost by a score of 44-33. We basically got Jimmy G'd, and it just wasn't a very good game. However, due to the Rams beating the Titans, we were able to clinch the AFC South. So the Jaguars fell to 10-5, and we have a home playoff game blocked, but this game was not pretty and just not much good happened this game. So this is going to become a longer video because there's a lot I want to discuss. So let's go ahead and do it.
It's a foot race. Robinson and Browner, and it's Robinson who wins it. Touchdown Jacksonville. His 14th win. Bortles with time, looking deep for Robinson, and the catch is.
So one thing about me is that I see football games a lot differently than a lot of other people do, and one thing that drives me nuts about like football fans and stuff like that is they like to take these losses and really pin it on one person and act like that person is to blame. Whether a lot of times it's they blame it on the quarterback, or sometimes they'll blame it all on a referee, or say like a head coach or something like that, or a single player for doing a single play. But for me, I like to take a look at the whole picture and say, okay, we did this, and this wrong, and that's why we lost. And I'm a part of these Jaguar fan groups on Facebook, and man, like, I want to bang my head against the wall sometimes when I read some of the crap that's getting posted in there. I mean, when the Jaguars lose, people just go absolutely AWOL. And I'm gonna go ahead and start off by talking about Blake Bortles. Now, Blake Bortles, going into this game, he was like the hottest quarterback in the NFL. I mean, he came off a 3-game stretch where he was playing really good. However, this game was not necessarily a very good performance by him. And like a lot of people act like it was catastrophic what he did. But the thing about Blake was he had 3 interceptions. And the thing about Blake is, interceptions kill you. And those interceptions eventually led to points. And it didn't really help out much. But like, I'm not gonna put as much blame on Blake as everybody else is going to want me to. I mean, Blake, like, there was that first interception that led to a pick six, and it was hard to really tell who that was on. It seemed like Keelan Cole might have stopped running on his route, but it might have been that he saw like the soft spot in the zone and decided to stop and stay there and try to catch it. And Blake after the game basically pinned it on himself, saying, "This is my fault. I got to be able to like read this zone and stuff like that better." But I mean, it's really hard to tell really who that one was on. And then there was the other interception where he looked like he was trying to do like a back shoulder kind of throw, and then it just wasn't good at all. And that was a final interception, and that definitely wasn't a very good pick. The second one came where it looked like there was like some zone coverage going on, and since there wasn't really anybody in the flats to throw to, the dude kind of stepped back and he was able to get a one-hand interception, and those were crucial turnovers in the game. But I mean, other than that, I thought Blake, he did some nice things that I liked. After the pick six and after Blake throws like interceptions, a lot of times what you'll see him absolutely implode on himself and just have a lot of errant throws, and he just doesn't do very well. However, this game, like after he threw the pick six, the Jaguars were basically down 16-2. But after that, Bortles actually did a pretty decent job of getting back on the scoreboard and basically tying it up 16-all at the end of the first half. The run game, it just wasn't working, and that's like a huge concern to me. Back at the beginning of the season, we were able to, run the ball and we'd get, 5 to 12 yards, and it was really nice. But now it just seems like the max amount of yards we're able to get with Fournette is like 5 yards, and that's on a good run. It seems like most of his runs are either getting, 1-2 yards, or like a lot of times even losses, and that's a huge concern because we had to completely abandon the run game this game, and it led to it led to Bortles throwing the ball 50 times, which eventually led to 3 turnovers. And it reminded me much like the Los Angeles Chargers game where Bortles had 50 pass attempts and he threw 2 interceptions. The Jaguars going into this year, that's not their blueprint to win. Their blueprint to win is having a great run game and playing great defense. And quite frankly, our run game just wasn't good. And, if you take away the interceptions, Bortles was, doing a good job of, keeping the game going and, trying to get some points on the board. Now, I kind of sound like I'm being a Blake apologist right now, but the thing about it is I just don't like all the blame that's being put on Bortles. Everyone's saying, oh, this game's all Bortles. Get a new quarterback. Our guy sucks. You know what I mean? And I knew that was going to happen. You know what I mean? I knew, like I said in my 49ers preview video, I said Bortles is having a really good stretch of 3 games. And once he does bad, everyone's going to be, having him swinging for the fences again and writing him off. And, that's basically what happened. And just the thing about our game right now is our run game is so broken right now. And it's been like that for a good little bit. Now, it has been hard to see that in games like against San Francisco and games like against the Texans just because, Bortles has just been playing really well. I mean, Bortles' good play has kind of been overshadowing our bad run game, but this game we kind of needed it and it wasn't there, which is just a huge concern. I mean, we're gonna have to get a run game going if we want to have any shot in the playoffs. I mean, unless you really want to put the game in Bortles' hands, which I doubt a lot of you guys really want to do. I mean, the thing with our pass game is not only do we not necessarily know what we may get out of Bortles when it comes to consistency, we are also so bare thin at wide receiver right now. I mean, Jalen Strong basically we picked him up week 2. I mean, he's basically been injured the whole time. He finally comes back, makes his first appearance with 2 weeks left in the season, and he tears an ACL. And, you saw Keelan Cole go down this game. You didn't see any bit of Allen Hurns this game. He was inactive this game. And it's a huge concern just because we're going to need some wide receiver help in the playoffs, and we are so bare thin at that position where we can't have anything bad happen to any of our wide receivers going forward. But I will go ahead and move to our defense. Our defense didn't necessarily play a very good game. Now, a lot of the scores were set up by some of Bortles' interceptions, but you just saw things that should be a lot better out of the defense. I mean, our defense basically talks themselves up as being the #1 defense in the NFL. But if you're the #1 defense in the NFL, you can't be going out and doing this, stupid crap by, letting Jimmy G drive down the field and stuff like that. And the one big concern about our defense is, in games past, you basically saw touchdowns coming off of big chunk plays, big broken plays, and rarely would you actually see a team drive the field on us, chip away at our team and score a touchdown. This game, that's what happened. I mean, they were scoring a lot of their touchdowns by slow drives. There really weren't that many busted plays, besides Puzzlesny's coverage against that fullback. But I mean, that's what was concerning to me is just the big chunks or not big chunks, but just how this team was able to drive on us so well. And another thing is we were biting so hard on the play action, and it's just, I mean, you saw a couple of these play action things come. A lot of it was on Tashawn Gibson by committing too much to the run and forgetting the guy that he was guarding basically coming out in the flats. And it's interesting that they were biting so much just because it's not like their run game was really doing all that great, but they were still biting on these runs. And I mean, you saw it get to a point where Dante Fowler literally clotheslined a dude down just so he wouldn't get in open. I mean, it's just concerning, man. I don't like it. Another thing is just these tight ends and this fullbacks getting open. I mean, that's been going on since even before we had our great defense, just these tight ends getting open. It's not often where wide receivers will have big games on us. It's just the tight end game that's pretty rough. Another thing that I thought was hurting us this game were a lot of misdirections. And by misdirections, I mean there was a lot of pre-snap stuff where there'd be a wide receiver running across, running parallel to the line of scrimmage, and they'd snap it real quick, while he's still going in motion. And, I thought a lot of these guys going different ways was kind of confusing the defense and especially the linebackers because that kind of stuff was kind of opening, basically having them run through the gaps that the linebackers were responsible for. And, that wasn't, they found weaknesses in our defense. And it just sucks. You know what I mean? I don't know what else to say. I mean, but with this defense, the thing is, like, I think when this team, when they play motivated and they actually come in like with a chip on their shoulder, they are able to play really, really well. I mean, you saw, you know, when we played the Steelers, and you saw when we played, you know, like the Ravens or, you know, the Seahawks. Like, when they're wanting to, I just feel like this defense, when they want to play really well, they will play really well, but they go into some of these games sleepwalking. Like, you know, when we played the Jets, or especially when we go to the West Coast, when we played the Cardinals, or when we played the 49ers. It's like they look at these teams' records and say, you know, maybe we won't have to, you know, play as hard as we need to. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I wouldn't think that they'd want to do that just because, you know, they're so competitive and they want to be the best. But it just seems like they, like, kind of look over some opponents. And I know a lot of people might be saying, hey, you know, they were scoreboard watching. You know, maybe they saw, like, the Rams won and everything. They didn't have to play as hard. But the thing about that is, the game was that Rams-Titans game, it was so close, and that game wasn't over until midway through the first quarter of the Jags game. So, you know, I don't know what it is. I don't know what's up with us on the West Coast, how we haven't won there since, like, what, 2005? It's just such a weird streak, and, you know, I thought that'd be something that we break, you know what I mean? Like when we were doing really bad at home, and all of a sudden, like, we kind of broke that, and I thought, you know, we're a good team, we should be able to break this West Coast streak, but we didn't. And luckily, in a regular season in 2018, we don't ever have to go to the West Coast, so unless you go to the playoffs in that year, we won't have to worry about that until probably like 2019. But it's just, I mean, it's just rough. I don't know what else to, you know, say when it comes to our defense. Like, our defense, they have to get motivated, and you know, it's a big game coming up against the Titans. Not necessarily a big game, but I mean, we're going to have to prove ourselves to get some momentum going into the playoffs. Now, another thing that really pissed me off about this game is all these mental lapses when it comes to these damn penalties. Like, we have to be smarter about that. I mean, there was one drive, a crucial drive, where we basically gave up 30 yards and, you know, basically gave them, I believe it ended in a touchdown, but God, it was so bad. Like, we have to be, I mean, the Miles Jack thing, that was kind of borderline. I mean, it wasn't like he was hovering over the dude, but, you know, he did walk in his direction, and, like, he could have just stopped there and, like, turned around and walked away, but, you know, apparently he didn't really say anything. But the Yannick Ngakoue thing, he came in there way after the play and got in his face. Should not be doing that. Malik Jackson headbutting the dude right in front of a ref. That was dumb as hell, too. Like, these guys have to fix their shit and stop playing so damn dumb. I mean, it's just, like, we can't be doing this in the playoffs, you know what I mean? These are selfish penalties that are going to hurt the whole entire team. But however, like I said in my video yesterday, you learn a lot from having, like, bad games. I mean, every single game that we've lost this year, we have come back and whooped ass. I mean, you know, after we beat the Titans, the next week we go and beat the Ravens like 44-7. Then the next week we lose to the Jets. Then we go out and beat the Steelers like 30-9. You know what I mean? We lose to the Rams, we go out and like whoop the Colts. And the Cardinals, we did the same thing. And I mean, after we get these wins, after we lose, we come back to next week seemingly focused and seemingly they pissed off, and we absolutely like dominate. And you know what I mean? Like, you learn a lot through bad tape. I mean, you saw, you know, we can't bite so hard on the play action, and we have to understand what to do on these, you know, these misdirections, and we have to stop these stupid ass penalties. I mean, that has to be like a bulletin board kind of conversation this week when it comes to limiting that, just because we can't be doing that shit in the playoffs, man. I mean, you know, everything is so crucial in the playoffs. It's just, we got to stop that, because those are such avoidable penalties. But like I said in my short little recap video yesterday, back in, I don't know if it was 2006 or 2007, but we played a home game against the Colts where we basically decked out in all black, and we were playing Peyton Manning, and we absolutely whooped ass. We whooped them like 41-14, and the Colts later on that year wound up winning the Super Bowl. And Peyton Manning said in an interview, basically the turning point of that season was losing to Jacksonville the way they did. They learned so much about themselves, and it really like got them together and, you know, learned from it. And that's what hopefully this game will do. Hopefully, like, this game, they can look at it, and they got a lot of bad tape out there to figure out what they need to improve on, and hopefully, like, they can get these errors fixed and we can make some kind of run in the playoffs. Now, a quick little message to Jags fans. Don't let any fans from opposing team try to take away what great of a year it's been for us. I mean, we right now have, you don't, like, all these people are saying, oh, you guys are, beating all these easy opponents and stuff like that. Like, you don't, like, you don't luck into having a 10-5 record. You know what I mean? You don't luck into having double the amount of wins as you do losses. There are people saying, oh, you haven't played anybody. Like, we don't, it's like, what are we doing? What are we trying to avoid opponents? We whooped the Steelers' ass, who's number 2 seed in the playoffs. We whooped the Ravens' ass, who's very well in the playoff. They're in a playoff picture. You look at the Chargers and stuff like that. Like, we have put together a good year, and I just don't want anybody to take away this season from us, because it's been a great year. We are AFC South champions. This is the first division championships we've had since 1999, when we were champions of the AFC Central. So, I mean, it's been a great year. Just don't let any of these, like, haters come in here and act like, we don't deserve this year, because we absolutely deserve the record that we have. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to Niner Empire. A lot of them are good people. They're all saying a bunch of, like, nice and encouraging things about, our Jaguars, even though there are a couple of trolls out there. You know what I mean? You guys are, real fans. Appreciate all the words. Appreciate you guys for, like, watching my videos and everything. And I mean, you guys have a really good quarterback, and you guys have built up a good D-line with Solomon Thomas, DeForest Buckner. You've got, some good linebackers in there, getting like Reuben Foster out in there. And, you guys are like a wide receiver 1, maybe an offensive lineman or 2, and, a couple of defensive backs away from having like a really good team. I mean, good quarterback can take you a long ways, and you guys are very much going to be in competition for the NFC West the next year. So yeah, guys, with all that said, I mean, a lot of you guys are really like freaking out about this loss. I'm not necessarily freaking out, because for 14, I've seen this team play 15 games, and like, our defense has been outstanding for about 90% of those games. And I'm not going to all of a sudden let this random game in Week 16 decide that we all of a sudden have a bad team. I mean, our team, when they show up and want to play and play motivated, we are a dangerous team. And, I really hope this team can put a chip on their shoulder and go in and start, making some damage in the playoffs. So we're AFC South champions. It's a good feeling. Definitely didn't get it the way you'd like to, where we could go out and really celebrate it, but, it's whatever. So, with all that said, this is UCF Jaguar with GenJag.com, and I'm out.